Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to a new session of your Class 11 Entrepreneurship Children. Now we are starting with a topic, preparation of a business plan. So, a business plan is a written summary of various elements involved in starting a new enterprise of how the business will organize its resources to meet its goals and how it will measure progress. So, it is a written summary on what are we going to do in the course of business, how will it be carried, who will do this work, who is going to supervise all these stuffs. So, like this, all the activities of the business being written as a summary, we call it as a business plan, right? So, this will be made in such a way that by just seeing the business plan, we can clearly understand that how the resources are being organized, how the organization is going to reach its goals, and how it is going to measure its progress. So, now a business plan serves the following purposes. First thing, it provides a blueprint of actions to be taken in the future, and it guides the entrepreneur in raising the factors of production. It serves as a guide to organize and direct the activities of the business venture and helps in measuring the progress of venture at successive stages. Communicates to investors, lenders, suppliers, etc., initiating the programs of business. So, all these forms the purpose of the business plan. Why are we making this business plan? Just to understand the overall plan of the business, the blueprint of the business, and then it guides the entrepreneur on arranging the factors of production. So, on organizing the factors of production, an entrepreneur will get a clear picture that we require this much of the labor force, we require this much of the place to start up with a factory or an industry, then we require this much of capital for starting up the business. So, all these clear picture is available to the entrepreneur once this business plan is made, and then it serves as a guide to organize and direct the activities of the business venture. So, with the business plan, we clearly understand the goals of the business, the immediate target which we have to achieve, so that we will work properly for that. The steps will be taken for just reaching the goal and the target, and then helps in measuring the progress of the venture at successive stages. With the business plan, we will be clearly able to monitor our progress. So, this was the target given. Have we achieved that in that month? Right, we have achieved. The next month, this is the target. Have we achieved that? No. Why didn't we achieve? So, what was lagging? That will be calculated immediately only with the help of business plan. And then it communicates to investors, lenders and suppliers, etc., initiating the programs of the business. So, those who are ready to invest in the business, those who are ready to give loan for the business, right, the lenders or the bankers, they will get immediate information about the business just from this business plan. So, now we are going to see what are all the elements of business plan. So, what are the constituents in a business plan, right? So, do all business units need to prepare a business plan, and will the plan vary depending on the size of unit? Is it mandatory that each and every business should come up with a business plan, or the same way, is there any particular format that business plan should be made only in that format? Actually, it is not like that. Okay, it is not necessarily to be all the business should plan the business, or it is not mandatory that it should be in a same format. Okay, so not necessarily, and yes, the plan size will vary from one unit to another, right? So, for example, a manufacturer of computer while entering a new market would definitely need a comprehensive business plan, whilst for an entrepreneur who will be opening a small stationery shop would not need a detailed business plan. So, the business plan's requirement differs, right? For some kind of business, it is definitely required, and for some kind of business, it is not at all even required, right? So that is what is given here. For manufacturing a computer, he would definitely need a comprehensive business plan. But for starting up with a small stationery shop, he would not need a detailed business plan. So the plan must define the objectives, strategies, customer scenario, market segments, products and services to be offered, sales forecast, and steps required to attain the objectives. So the plan should have all these in its contents, right? So it should have the objectives of the business and the strategies which we are going to adapt to achieve the objectives of the business, the customer scenario, what could be the demand for the product, how far the customer will be ready to buy the product, all that, and the market segments, how the market is being classified for this particular product, and then the products and services to be offered by the business, right? And then the sales forecast, so how far the sales will be in the near future, or how far the sales will reach maybe after 10 years, after 5 years. So periodically the sales has to be forecasted and the steps required to attain the objectives. So we have objectives. So what are all the steps we are going to take to attain that objective? All these should be included in a business plan, and the plan should describe distribution systems, promotional activities and pricing decisions. So distribution system is nothing but how the manufactured good is going to reach the consumers, because not all the consumers are available near the production place. And at the same time, production place cannot be made available for wherever the consumers are there, right? So consumers are spread worldwide. On that case, from the production place, the good should reach the consumer. So for that, we have distribution channel, right? So for example, from the producer, at times they are directly reaching the customers like factory outlets that is started by the producer himself, or the producer sells it to wholesaler, wholesaler sells it to retailer, and the retailer sells it to consumer, which is the common distribution chain, right? So this is called as the channel of distribution. So that has to be decided in the business plan, the channel of distribution. That has to be mentioned clearly. And then the promotional activities. Promotional activity is nothing but, so a manufacturer is manufacturing his shirt. Okay, let us take a shirt manufacturer. So he manufactures, he sends it to the market. That's it. Is the work over? How will a consumer know about the product? We should promote our product. So how are we promoting our product? We will do it by advertisements. So there are various types of advertisements through which we promote our product. It could be a media advertisement, it could be a newspaper advertisement, or advertisement through radios, advertisement through social media, Facebook, Instagram. We have many modes of advertisement today. So that includes this promotional activities. And then we should also mention about the pricing decisions. So how are we going to fix the price of a product, right? That has to be decided, and that has to be included in the business plan. So there are various types of pricing methods which we will be reading further. That has to be decided. So we are going to follow this method of pricing. So that has to be mentioned in the business plan. Right? So now we are going to see how a proposed business plan will look like. Okay, so first thing about the proposed business plan should be, it should first include the name and address of the business. So what the business name is, it could be X & Co, Y & Co, Y Limited, whatever it is, that has to be mentioned along with the address of the business, and then the name and address of entrepreneur. So the owner of the business. Entrepreneur is a person who is the owner of the business, right? So the owner's address should be name and address should be given, right? So this owner need not be a single person always. So as we know that there are various types of business. Sole proprietorship we have where single owner is there. Partnership is there where two or more persons are engaged in setting up the firm. And also we have limited companies, right? So usually private limited companies. Yes. So the ownership can be in any way, but the name and address of the owners should be mentioned. And then the stakeholders of the business. So those who are all related to the business. It could be a bank, it could be any other venture capitalist, it could be any other investors. That has to be mentioned. And then the nature of business and customers. So what could be the nature of the business? A particular line of business which we have chosen to be started with. And also the customer's nature, maybe if it is going to be a business based on a target customers, right? So if it is going to be for children, so we will be mentioning it as age 3 to 10 years, right? So this is how the nature of business and also the nature of customers should be mentioned. And then moving on to the business venture. So first is all about the general information which we have to give. So now we are going to give information about a business venture. So we should have the products which we are going to offer, then the services which we are going to offer. So what is the difference between a product and a service? A product is something which has physical existence, right? So it is something which we can see, touch and feel, right? So that is called as product. And a service, it does not have physical existence. So no physical existence is there for a service. So it could even be mentioned as, in your accounts you would have studied about tangible assets and intangible assets. So the product is tangible and a service is intangible, right? Then the scale of business operation. So what is the scale of business operation? It is all about small scale business or medium scale business or large scale business. That has to be given. Then the type of technology which we are using. So if it is going to be an existing technology or a very new advanced technology or a technology which is new but it is not completely advanced. So like that the technology has to be mentioned and the methods which we are going to use, that comes under this technology. And then the types of skilled personnel required. Personnel is nothing but human resource required for the business. So what are all the types of skills we require for this kind of job? So for example, when we recruit a teacher in a school, we expect them to be a B.Ed graduate, right? So the same way, each and every job, to be an accountant, that person should have a degree with commerce, right? It could be a BCom or it could be PG in commerce, which is MCom, or it can be, he can be a CA, anything it can be. So based on a particular job, the requirements of a job, we have various skills, right? And then comes the organized plan. So after completing about the business venture, we have to start off with this organized plan. So here we mention about the form of ownership. That's what I was telling you. If it is going to be sole proprietorship or partnership or joint stock company, right? So that has to be mentioned. And then the identification of business, associated partners, members, etc. should be included. And then the administrative structure has to be included and the management team should be identified. So who are all going to be the board of directors, who is going to be the CEO, who is going to be the managing director, then as assistant managing director, joint managing director. So like this, each and every business demands more positions in management. So that has to be identified at this stage. Then comes the production plan. So here we should give the details of the manufacturing process. So when a product is going to be manufactured, what is the order of the manufacturing? That should be mentioned. Then the physical infrastructure. So what are all the infrastructure we require for this process? It could be a machinery, it could be electricity. What are all the things, facilities we require? That comes under this physical infrastructure. And then comes the types of plant and machinery. So if we are going to engage a plant and machinery, then what kind of plant and machinery it is going to be, right? That has to be mentioned. So if it is going to be like a fully automatic machinery, or if it is going to be manual. Manual means a person who will just be with the machine and operate the machine. How it is going to be. That should be determined, and then the raw materials which we are going to use for the business, and the requirement of power, water, etc. All these should be included in production plan. And then comes human resource plan. Here the categories of human resource of staff required. So from which level to the lower level, from the higher level to the lower level, what are all the designations we have, right? So accountant, then manager, then HR manager, clerk. Like this, there are various positions in an organization. So how many staff is required for each and every position? That has to be finalized at this stage. And human resource who have been already identified, which means after conducting interviews, we would have chosen some people for some designations, right? So that has to be mentioned. And then the human resource required to be procured. So we have already identified a set of people, and we need some more, right? So that resource requirement should be mentioned. Then the time frame for procurement of human resource. So within this particular time, within a month, we have to recruit these many people so that we will start up with the business. So that time frame has to be mentioned. Then comes the marketing plan. So here again we are mentioning what are all the products and services we are going to offer, right? And then how are we going to fix the price, and what are all the strategies we are going to follow for promotion, and then the logistics for distribution and channels for distribution. Logistic is nothing but the mode of transport which we are going to use. How the goods are going to be taken from the place of production and how it is going to reach to the place of consumption. That process has to be decided at this point, right? Then comes financial plan. We have to calculate on the break-even analysis. Break-even analysis is nothing but no profit, no loss point. Okay, and then what are the fixed capital requirements, and then what are the working capital requirements. So fixed capital requirement is something which we invest at the initial stage of the business. It could be the assets we purchase initially, it could be the amount we invest initially, right? So then comes working capital requirement. Working capital is the capital which we require on daily basis, on routine basis, right? So that has to be decided, and what are the sources of capital? How are we going to arrange this capital? That has to be mentioned, and the schedule of procurement of capital. So if it is going to be by shares, okay. So if we are going to issue shares and invite public for investing, then how the application money will be. So there are various stages through which we receive the share capital amount, okay. So how the application money will received, and then when will be the allotment made, and then when the allotment money will be received, and after that how the first call money will be received. Like this, there are various stages. So how are we going to, how long we are going to take to procure this capital, that has to be finalized. And then the schedule of procurement of asset. How, what are all the assets we are going to procure, and how are we going to procure it? Maybe from, maybe through EMI, maybe through lease, maybe through hire purchase system, all these has to be finalized. And then the cash flow projection, right? So if the business is going to run on a routine basis, then how the cash flow we are going to manage, how far the expenses will be, how the income will be, and how the flow of cash will be there. So that has to be mentioned here. All these will be forecasted to an extent so that the business plan will be complete. And then comes the miscellaneous details, the market research report which we will make before launching our product, right? So how this product is going to be successful, how the product is going to stand in the market, what is the competitors' take on this product. So all these things comes under this market research. And then the contract with vendors, right? So vendors are the people who are going to supply us any kind of raw material which we require for business. So the contracts with the vendors should be mentioned. Then the contract with financial institutions. So financial institutions, that could be capital, the capital requirement which had been funded through venture capitalists or which had been sufficiently addressed by the banks. So that contract should be mentioned. Then the type of business risk. So if the business is under the category of low risk or moderate risk or higher risk, that has to be mentioned. And finally, the contingency plan. So the business continuity plan, that has to be clearly mentioned. So all these put together forms the elements of a perfect business plan. So with this, we are coming to the end of this session, children. See you soon in the next session with the execution of business plan. Thank you. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.